Thicket. We are going to talk about chicken coops today, mainly stationary coops. So there's lots of benefits to stationary coops and there's some negatives to stationary coops. So the two main, plans for coops, or the two main camps, we have stationary coops and then we have chicken tractors. A chicken tractor is great if you are trying to do some sort of rotational gardening, meat chickens. I'm not doing meat chickens. Ours are just for eggs and entertainment. But this is real important. You never want to keep your chickens in the coop and the chicken run. They need to free range. Even if you live in the suburbs, you need to let your chickens outside so they can forage on their own. It will save you money. It will make your chickens happier. They will have a much more balanced diet. So I am not advocating to keep your chickens in the coop at all. That is not what you want to do. So we are talking about stationary coops. I'm going to talk about the benefits and I'm going to talk about the negatives. And start off with some of the benefits of a stationary coop, a static coop, a coop you don't have to move. So that's the first benefit. You don't have to move the coop every day. For some of that, or for some of us, that is, just an extra chore you have to do. So you don't have to move the coop. That is a major, major benefit. A second benefit, in my opinion, with a stationary coop, you can make your chickens more comfortable. So what does that mean? You can have more water in the summertime. So a lot of the chicken tractors, you have to be able to move them. So most of them are lightweight, especially if you are just a homesteading, chicken keeper. It's a hobby. So I'm not talking about raising chickens for money. I'm just talking about family chickens. So if you have a chicken tractor, you will be filling up the water a lot more. The main reason is that since it's mobile, you want to have as lightweight of a coop as possible so that it's easy to move. On a hot day, I probably have at least 15 gallons of water for my chickens. It is sometimes 20, 25 gallons of water. The longer you keep chickens, the more chicken waters you will have. And if you hang on to them, you can just water less often, but with more water. So that's another benefit. You can keep your chickens more comfortable. In the wintertime, it is easier to insulate a static coop. So the main way I insulate is I use lots of deep bedding, lots of straw, pine straw sometimes. Sometimes I use leaves that have been raked. So it's much easier to insulate your coop in the fall and winter time, and that leads to another benefit. If you use deep bedding, then over time you get chicken manure, and as you probably know, chicken manure is great fertilizer. This is Sparkle here, Sparkle the Dominicker. So if you have a static coop, a non-moving coop, you are able to harvest that deep bedding all in one place and pick where that fertilizer is going to go. Are you going to use it as pathways? Are you going to take it and put it right into your compost? But that is a benefit, is that all of your manure is in this central place and then you figure out where you want to put it. The last benefit, in my opinion, is that a static coop, a non-moving coop, is better predator protection. So if you have better predator protection, you're going to lose less chickens. If you have a chicken tractor, most of the time you have a chicken fence around it, a portable electric fence, which is great. That keeps out most predators. But the downside of a chicken tractor system is that most of the time your chickens are exposed to the sky, to flying predators, to hawks and owls. I have several friends who have lost most of their flock with a chicken tractor system, and that's because your chickens are exposed more to those flying predators. If you have a stationary coop, and if you have them free ranging, they have more opportunity to hide from predators. There's trees around. They can hide under low-lying areas, low structures. But in the chicken tractor, they tend to be more exposed to the flying predators. I feel at night as well, chickens generally are more protected inside a stationary coop. You are just able to have stronger material because, again, you're not moving it. So if you're not moving it, you can use heavier material. If you have a predator problem, you can fix that a lot easier than with a mobile coop. If you are going to have a mobile coop, you need to have electric chicken fencing. If you don't, your chickens are much more exposed to predators, so I would not suggest that, definitely not. So those are some of the benefits, but let's talk about the negatives of a static coop. So no system is perfect, and a static coop is definitely not perfect either. There are some downsides to it. The first is if you build your coop in the wrong place, you can't move it. So it would be horrible to have a great coop like the one in the background here, but you build it in the wrong place, and then you're either stuck with it or you have to take it apart and build it in a better location. So I will do a video hopefully soon on the best place to build a static coop, but for right now we're going to move on. But you want to make sure that you figure out where the best location for your coop is. If you don't, you are going to have a coop that you're not going to enjoy. Another downside of a static coop is you can't use your chickens to prep gardens. If you watch Justin Rhodes, he's a big advocate of using chickens to prep gardens. I totally agree. I do use my chickens at the end of the season. I let them into my fenced-in garden area so they can prep that area. They can take any of my leftover crop. They can take out weeds. But I also have a pet pig and goat, so I use my pigs and goats to prep my garden as well. But if you're doing a rotational garden, chickens are definitely great to do that with. But a static coop, you can't really do that. My chickens forage. They get lots of greens, lots of protein, lots of insects and worms. So they are out there foraging, but I am not choosing where they forage. They choose where they want to forage. So another negative of a static coop is you want to let your chickens free range. If you don't let your chickens free range, they're going to be unhealthy, they're going to be unhappy. They will probably fight with each other a lot more. We have several roosters. They don't really fight with each other because during the day, they have the entire farm to forage on. So they kind of break off into their separate groups and they don't really fight each other that much, which is great. But if you do have your chickens free ranging during the day, another negative of a static coop is your chickens will occasionally start to lay in a place you don't want them to lay. So if you keep them inside your coop, you have your nesting boxes, and most chickens lay from mid-morning to early afternoon, but they don't all necessarily lay at the same time or same day. So sometimes I will get several days where I don't have any chicken eggs, and then I have to go look around and I find out that my chickens have started laying somewhere else. They may lay inside the barn, they may lay next to the coop, they may lay near my work shed. So if you have a static coop, you need to be very vigilant on where your chickens are laying. So that is another negative to a static coop. The last negative that I'm going to talk about is the smell. So your chickens, they have a lot of manure. Chicken manure is messy. It's a little gross. It's probably the worst farm animal manure next to cows, in my opinion. So the smell does build up. There are some things you can do to counteract that. There's some powders you can use that can that are totally organic, that can help eliminate some of the smell. You can use pine straw. You can plant plants near your coop like mint that will kind of mask the smell. But your chicken coop is probably going to smell at times. So the important thing is to make sure you are cleaning your coop. You want to use deep bedding, but at the same time, you want to make sure your coop is nice and clean. Another problem, I guess I said that was the last negative, but another negative with static coops is rats. Yes, rats. We don't have any rats here on our farm at all, but rats are more of an urban problem, a suburban problem. The rats are attracted to your coop over time from the extra food. It's a free meal for the rats. When we kept chickens in an urban area, we did have a rat problem. I guess one season it was horrible. The rats would come, they would take the eggs, they would burrow underneath the chicken coop actually. So that is another problem with a static coop. If you live in the city or the suburbs, you need to worry about rats. The main thing is to try to keep your coop as clean as possible, and hopefully you can eliminate any type of rodent problem. So I hope this has been helpful to folks out there. We have a static coop. I love chicken tractors with the electric fence around them. If I ever raise meat birds, I would probably use the chicken tractor system. But again, these chickens are only for eggs and for our own entertainment to enjoy and watch and hang out with. So our chickens are not meat birds. They are part of the family, basically. So there are lots of benefits to static coops. There are lots of negatives to static coops. You need to decide what is best for you. Unfortunately, if you live in the suburbs, you probably don't have enough room to have a chicken tractor. When I kept chickens in the suburbs, I had a very small yard. I think it was 100 feet by 80 feet. So a very small yard. It was hard to move my chickens around because I didn't have the space. But if you want to do meat birds, I would probably go with the chicken tractor system. But static coops have a lot of benefits, and like I said, they have some negatives. So you need to make the choice which is better for you. But the important thing is, let your chickens forage outside. Do not keep them inside the coop all day. Even if it's only for a few hours, you need to let your chickens go out and enjoy the day. They need to be chickens. They don't want to just sit inside all day. That is not a good thing to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the future.